To some people, Christianity has become more than a delusion, but it has become a sickness. And in the mind of this young lady, her statement concerning the school shootings in Georgia last week, it has become a sickness in your mind. And I have no problems making that statement because you prove that within your statement. Now, your statement was way too long for me to post the whole thing on here, but it very much is repetitive of what you spoke about here. The fact that you're saying that I don't know if prayer worked because someone could have changed their routine that day and tripped over the Bible, and therefore the bullet missed them. Or that someone was getting ready to come to school and they spilled something on their shirt. Or they just didn't want to go to school that day and they were saved. That you gave all these different examples of causations that would have prevented someone from either being shot and killed, but yet you gave no examples of the murderer himself doing something different so that he could not kill anyone. The fact to me of my statement that your prayers did not work is based on the fact that 4 people died and multiple people were injured. That there's a young man, 2 kids, I believe. I think two of them were students. I know one was there, but there's a student. This student will never go to the prom. This student will never gain a wife. This student will never have a husband. This student will never have children. This student will never see his parents again, will not see another birthday. This student will not travel the world or go to college or join the military or join the Peace Corps. This student will miss out on everything else that could have possibly been in his life simply because this cretin of a person decided that he wanted to come into the school and shoot people, to which he knew none of them. He did not know them. There are kids now who are traumatized and don't want to go back to school. They don't care that school is going to start. They don't want to go back to school. Traumatized now because of this. Thousands of kids are now traumatized. And you're saying that the prayers might have worked because a few other people who might have been killed weren't killed. This is sick. Your mind. I don't normally say things like this to people, but I'm telling you this because you need help. But you have a sickness in your mind when you look at a situation like this and you start to create things that will give you comfort so that you can maintain your belief in your religion by saying that, well, I know that these people died. I know these people were injured, but God saved so many other people that didn't come to school that day, that didn't walk in the hallways and skip and like they normally would, or didn't do whatever craziness you want to come up with that prevented them from being murdered. You create those things in your mind so that you can find comfort in this absence of your deity. Your deity did nothing to protect the students who were murdered. Your deity did nothing to protect the students who were injured. Your deity did nothing to protect the students who are now traumatized. Your deity did nothing to stop the boy from actually going in there and shooting people. He did nothing to let the father know that whatever mechanism he had to lock up his weapons weren't efficient. He did nothing to cause the FBI to investigate even deeper, even though, yeah, it looked they couldn't bring a case on him in 2023, but to have a deeper watch or a deeper look, your guy did nothing for the Discord forum to go deeper into being able to figure out who this kid was. This kid who was idolizing other events of a similar nature, of the same nature, not similar, same. that there were so many places where your God could have intervened so that the teacher who is in the emergency room doesn't have to go through all the rehab and everything that he's going to have to go through, and the PTSD that he's going to have, so that the other children don't have to go through all the counseling that they're going to need throughout the rest of their lives, so that the ones who actually died, your God did nothing to allow for them to have a life, to grow into old age. Your God did nothing. And it wasn't the devil, because as much as you can't prove your God, you cannot prove the devil either. This is just the negative energy that's in a person's brain that causes someone to do that. And it's up to us to be vigilant, to pay attention, to dig deeper into situations. But it's up to us to formulate humanity where we don't have all these separations, and we look at each individual person and say, as much as I have a right to live, they have a right to live. As much as I have a right to own this hat, they have as much right to own the hat that they own. That I am not going to steal from anyone because I do not want to be stolen from. I'm not going to murder anyone because I do not want to be murdered. Those are the teachings that I gave my children. I told my children understood that if there is one teaching that you must have, that you must follow, that there is no way that you can follow it, if you cannot ever not follow this. And that is that you treat other people the same way you desire to be treated. That was number one. Treat other people how you desire to be treated, and that way you will act in a way that you desire for people to act towards you, so you can't commit crimes. You can't dehumanize someone. You don't want racism towards you, you don't give it back out. Very simple. And it makes you into a better person, a greater person. That's the teaching the world needs. The world doesn't need your Bible teachings, your Quran teachings, or your Vedas and all these other religions. It needs that one simple teaching. If America doesn't want war to come to its doors, don't bring war to someone else's doors. If Russia doesn't want war to come to its doors, don't bring war to someone else's doors. If the Israelis don't want war in their doors, don't put war to the Palestinian doors. And if the Palestinians don't want war at their doors, then don't take war to the Israeli doors. It's very fucking simple. Incredibly fucking simple. It doesn't take a mathematician, a physics, a political analyst. It doesn't take a psychiatrist. It doesn't take any PhDs or deep thinking. It's simple as hell. That's what you need to understand. Not this fantasy image of gods and devils and demons. It's us. It's simply just us. And if the world came to that realization, the world would be a much, much more peaceful place. Some people will never get it. Actually, the law of, I forgot what it's called, something of innovation. It teaches that only 16% of the people will never get it. But if we start that as a process, eventually the remaining, the larger majority of the world will live that way. And then we can handle the 16%. And oftentimes the 16% may come over simply because they have no choice. But we'll never be without crime. We'll never be without poverty. But it can be incredibly minimized if the world followed that one thing. Just that one thing. And not this sick shit, not this demented, delusional mindset that you have. I hope you go get help. Because you, young lady, you actually need help. I'm saying that with all the love in my heart. You need help. Because if you're going to make excuses for this and for God to make excuses for why he didn't intervene, if he's so-called omnibenevolent, you need help. Because this means that you are prone yourself to fall into some type of negative cultish behavior. So always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.